I'm very honored to have the opportunity to participate today. I appreciate this symposium as a space for individuals to share different perspectives on how they've navigated this time. The piece that I'm going to share, or at least share part of, is it serves two goals. I think one, it serves as an opportunity for me to sort of provide a unique voice to this experience and to this time. I think the many participants in this symposium, women, people of color, caretakers, and others, sort of have a unique voice, and often scholarship does not provide a space for that unique voice. Um, Secondly, I think that poetry, we can learn a lot from poetry as a form. And so this is actually scholarship written in the form of a poem called an elegy, which is a poem about the elegy as a poetic form is a poem about loss. It's designed to honor a deceased person. And generally, some of the themes that you might find in an elegy is the theme of lamentation, sort of expressing what you miss, the theme of grief, expressing how that death makes you feel, and themes of praise, which is expressing what you sort of the joy of that which you remember. And so I'm using those themes to think about the experience of the pandemic for me and some of the things that I've been thinking about. So I probably don't have enough time um, to read the entire piece, but I will read the first part, but I'm happy to share and with others, and you can read it for yourself. So it's called How to Survive a Pandemic, an Elegy to America. 1. Mask. Walk into class with a mask. Realize your classroom is your home office. Realize your home office has no door, and you can still hear the faint yet growing sound of children crying in the distance because an advertisement has replaced Elmo on the YouTube screen, and we all must wait for the countdown to end. Realize you are fighting the realization that homeschooling your two sons during a pandemic reflects a certain measure of privilege and fear and frustration that converges into bitten cheeks and fiddled fingers. And do the benefits of teaching law at this moment in history outweigh the cost of not playing blocks with your toddlers? Realize your toddlers are growing comfortable with the sensitivity of the touchscreen by the day, yet remain wide-eyed by the notion of building bridges to a world that has yet to exist for them, but still lives on in your dreams, and it hasn't always been this way. Once upon a time, you were a young Black boy in America, hoping to get home fast enough to peel off school shoes and dive into home clothes and wade through a cartoon or two before Granny tells you, "Get up, no boy, do your homework," because books might save you from drowning in her worries one day. Hoping to get home fast enough to escape Papa's rage like a superhero in disguise because the forgotten corners under a bed can become a safe house from the gentle curl of an old man's wrist upon smooth leather fastened to the roots of Black America's determination to behave, 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 he says. And you did not understand at the time, but it makes sense now why a Black immigrant from the Caribbean simply wanted you to wait patiently for Superman and not stir any trouble. Hoping to one day graduate, but not with an MD because you've always been stubborn and ER was your mother's favorite show, but you think you understand acronyms better and better with age. After all, your mother was a nurse and her mother worked in the hospital kitchen. So what better way to turn a simple immigrant hope into an alphabet soup of dreams than for the firstborn American son to learn how to heal the burns of the melting pot? Hoping upon hope that hunger might be salved with hard work and imagination, but learning slowly, tortuously, even lost boys must grow up in this never, never land they call the US of A. But now you are smiling as the video comes alive and law students await in tiny squares on the screen, stationed above a stack of textbooks, positioned before a shelf of fiction that helps them see you better. You giggle inside behind a faucet of tears behind an invisible mask because today you will teach law students how to use a legal entity to shield one's assets from liability, and you wonder if in an odd way you are doing this with your job. You wonder if the case study is you. You wonder if you are using legal education to prevent memories of legal education to pierce your corporate veil, to render you complicit, to make you a monument of American sorrow. You wonder if teaching law as a Black man in America is a kind of self-murder that merits a questioning of one's sanity. And at least I do not teach criminal law, you think, because you know all too well how the law criminalizes people like you. Realize your mask is still on so the students don't know about the giggles or tears or liability concerns because all they see is your smile and your suit jacket and your shirt and your tie. And you've been wearing masks long before the pandemic made home into a prison of work-life imbalance. So you are good. You are good. You are good, you say a third time because 3 times makes a charm, unless, of course, you are standing in front of a mirror in an urban legend, in which case 3 times is only 2 steps away from breathing life into the ghost of Black Rage himself, and that ghost is you. You are not certain if this motion picture will end with Coming to America's celebratory parade or Candyman's tragic gutting of the soul, but at least you conclude, at least you are safe behind the mask. After all, it was Michelangelo who taught you about masks and quickly became your favorite superhero of them all because how amazing is it that one can be born in a sewer, raised with rodents, spark fear in the hearts of strangers at the sight of dark skin, and yet turn sticks into weapons, fast food into joy, a skateboard into adventure, a mask into purpose, a cowabunga protest song into hope, and all after being labeled a mutant. It amazed you because in an odd way, Michelangelo and his gang of Ninja Turtles reminded you of you. Realize even now you are still longing for simpler days of running through Papa's row house with a shirt tied around your head and paper towel nunchucks nestled in your hands and a book waiting in the corner and sweatpants and white socks. And your law students likely do not know that you are still wearing sweatpants today. They likely do not know that there is a part of you that does not fit in this picture, a part of you outside of the familiar frame, a part of you still playing make-believe, a part of you still braving this middle passage with a spine bent toward the shores of the distant past, a part of you using the language of scholarship to pay homage to the longing for home in a foreign world. Realize you are home in a foreign world with a name that sings of capture and revolution, but a forecast that cries of ambition and defeat, and your zest to live has rendered you a slave to social death, so you may have to write your way out after all. You may have to sacrifice a few words as your share of the crop. You may have to save a few stories under the mattress, but first you must wear the mask. First, you must keep it all above your nose. First, you must keep your glasses clear of the fog and look up, say cheese, 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 they say, even if no one can swallow the bitter truth. By saving you from pandemic, the mask has condemned you to a prison of sidelong glances. By distancing your allies from the parts of you that threaten to infect, the mask has turned the canker sores of America's melting pot into hitching breaths and cleared throats. By keeping you alive and well, the mask has buried the manacles shackled to your lips and obscured the extermination lingering at your front door. Realize the mask will forever be your salvation and condemnation. And what are the facts, you ask your law students? Why have we not overturned this case, you ask your law students? What should be our holding, you ask your law students, while staring down at empty Black hands? Do you realize what we have lost?